Tom's going to be the technical side of the operations, and I will be more of the agenda side. So I will formally call the meeting to order. It looks like at 7 o'clock. Welcome, everybody. Thank you, everybody. And pursuant to the changes of the open meeting law, we will be doing this with application. Everybody's online. BCTV will record it and post it onto their cable network and we'll get it posted onto our website like we normally do. And then the only other thing I was going to add is, for the most part, we'll run the meeting like we usually do. That we'll have just discussion within the board. If it's, there's something that's pertinent and we see that there's someone who wants to make a comment, then we'll try to get those people involved as much as possible. But then we'll save any other kind of discussion and open comments for the public concern at the end of the meeting. All right, and so I guess first call would be any additions or changes to the agenda? I do have a couple if nobody else has some, or anybody?
I've got one.
Okay, Paul?
We got a letter today in the red box talking about the Arts Council. So at the end, if I can make a quick comment about that.
Okay.
Okay.
And I do have, there's a couple that have just come up that Terry made note of. There is one overweight permit request, and then there are 2 liquor license requests. So we'll put those on. We'll put those on at the end, I guess, as item number 7 and 8 and 9.
Hello.
Oh yeah, Jackie.
Can you hear me?
Jackie
Yeah,
would
hi.
like to add an item.
Yeah, I don't see the raise my hand feature, so I'll just raise it the good old fashioned way.
Yeah, okay. And I apologize. I should have, obviously you're on the meeting. We'll bring yours up as part of public concerns and which will more or less be at the same time. I'm assuming that's why you were raising your hand.
Yeah, I would just like to inform folks about the new monthly e-newsletter that I'm starting.
Okay, we will certainly add that. I think that's going to be beneficial for a lot of reasons, a lot of people. Okay, is that anything else? All right, thank you. So the next item is to approve the minutes from the March 24th Select Board meeting. Any comments on that? Or if nothing, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Anything else to change? Hearing none. I'm losing track of the right terminology, but all in favor of approving the minutes?
We're going to raise hand or say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
I guess actually this is another point, and I've taken this as a learning point in the last meeting that I attended that actually had 9 voting members. So it'll be a little easier with 5, but let's leave it to say, because we do need to record, not who voted yes, but how many voted yes. So let's leave it to say that if anybody opposes, they shall speak up.
I'm abstaining.
Any opposed? I'm sorry.
I'm abstaining because I wasn't there. So.
Okay, any opposed? So I hear 4 affirmatives and 1 abstention. All righty, thank you. On to the next thing. Next 2 are actually 2 separate items, but they're more or less the same. Approve the timesheet for the town office, listers, highway, transfer station, and approve the select board orders. In the past, we've typically moved them to the end just for a matter of convenience, I guess, rather than hold up the whole meeting. As of now, as of our last meeting, we voted to authorize myself, and if I'm not available, Andy, to approve the select board orders and the pay orders. And so I'd like to hear if there is any comments on any of those, and we'll take that into consideration. And then, if not, nothing opposed or anybody, no objections or anything to anything, then I'll sign off on those. Any
Look-
comments on the pay orders?
I looked
Yes,
through them. Oh, go ahead.
I just
Oh.
put my hand up. I don't know if it shows up on yours.
Mhm.
I've got a couple of questions, but I can put them off until we get to the actual end of the session.
Okay, are they related to the, I mean, I guess if they're specific to some
To the
other
pay
item on the
orders.
agenda.
Not to the pay orders, but to the, the pay orders.
Okay.
The invoices that we've gotten in on.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's hear them now, I guess. I think that makes sense.
Do you want to do them now or at the end?
We'll hear them now.
Okay.
That's where they are on the agenda. I think we can follow the agenda, and there's no reason to push anything to the end.
Okay, then I apologize for not putting them in the late additions to the agenda thing. I'm not sure where you'd like to put them for choreography.
Well, if it's specific to a pay order, we'll take them now.
Okay, first question. You and I talked the other day about having a porta potty that was outside, and the conversation was whether we wanted to continue or not. I just found out, because I was not aware of this, that it's $90 a month for each of the 2 porta potties that we had. I know if that was in my computation. Another item is, I'm wondering about the, on the water bottles, when we get the water, we're paying for the deposit for the bottles, but I don't see any credit for when we give the bottles back. And on the same thing with the bottles, we're showing rental for 2 coolers. Now, all this stuff probably could be clarified with 5 minutes of Terry, but I found this when I'm going over at home and she wasn't available. So I'm putting it out as I reviewed them, there's some things that caught me by surprise.
Okay.
So Paul, with the bottles, I mean, they're charging us a deposit every time?
It appears so. They charged it on this last one, and I saw no responding credit for giving them back, because I've always thought it was a one-to-one exchange.
Yeah, one-to-one exchange. So I do the same company, so it's a one-to-one exchange.
You'd think. But I saw them charging us the rental. And I thought, well, let's take a look at that. Maybe it hasn't been happening. Maybe it's an oversight. I don't know the answer to that.
Well, that's information. I can bring that back. I'll bring that back to Terry tomorrow just to answer those questions.
Yeah. The other question I had is, does the town pay excise tax? I know we're tax-free in some regard, but how about excise tax? Specifically on our gasoline, fuel.
I have no familiarity with that at all.
So that's a question I had as I was going through there. Surprised to see us paying taxes.
So that would be tax on the stuff that we get up at the garage?
Yeah, the gasoline, our trucks, gasoline.
If I had to guess, I would say we shouldn't be paying tax on it.
I would think, but it's still showing up on there. So again, this will probably be cleared up with 5 minutes with Terry. I spotted them. This is the first time, I don't know in how long, where I've had the time to sit down and go over those things. Usually we're in such a rush that I just glance over, but I took this time to look at it a little more.
Well, and I guess being the person tasked with approving the pay orders, I will take that back and run it by Terry and make sure that that's all all covered. And if there's any further concern, we can address it at our next meeting, or have Terry take it up with the vendors.
Sure. And then the other thing about the porta potty that you and I discussed earlier, I didn't have the amount that we were paying. We're paying $90 a month. That was a surprise to me. So that maybe ought to be figured into our conversation. When we get to that conversation.
Our conversation, just to familiarize everybody else, was whether or not we still wanted that there at the town office. Obviously, we want the one at the transfer station. But the one being at the town office being one of a more public, it does get cleaned on a regular basis. There are obviously lots of concerns about those things these days, and there's a lot of public locations that have been closed down for the coronavirus concerns. Our quick discussion was that it made sense to keep this because a lot of people that are transportation, the delivery people, the drivers, there's a lot of, we felt there was a need to continue it there, but that was a quick overview. We never talked about cost. I think we've already, decided that we're going to pay for it. So I don't know if that's a factor in any decision right now. I see
Yeah, my only thing,
hands up. Anybody? Nope. Sarah, you have your hand up? Nope.
I can say with like the rec committee, when we were doing the ball field, it's $90 a month. Yeah. And so, I mean, that's pretty much the going rate. And we're using Best Septic.
Yes.
Yeah. There's C&J too, are out in Londonderry, but they're not as responsive. Or J&J, I forget what they're called. I
Well,
bet
getting it requoted if there's a concern about the cost. I don't know how that compares.
Hmm.
I think our main question was whether or not we wanted to continue offering its availability. Any comments on that? It's not an agenda item, but it does concern an invoice.
And when we were talking about it, when we were thinking about it, the concern I had was that it was, except in the summertime, when it looks like it's a lot of tourist traffic, in the regular rest of the year, it's an awful lot of tradesman traffic. We're the only public bathroom between, I think, Rossonville and the Riverbend Market. And so that we get a lot of people coming through using it. And I'm able to observe that because it's right below my window. And I'm able to see that a lot. But most of the traffic in the summertime is tourists. So it's one of those things it's got good points and bad points, and the cost of it into the discussion.
Andy, you had a comment?
Yes, every year this comes up and we always vote to leave it there. Not that that makes any difference. We could always change it, but we've always decided to leave it there, and we're usually happy with the service.
Yeah, so I guess I'll take this. It was not an agenda item, so it's not really up for discussion, but I will bring that back to Terry also to maybe just see if the cost is in line with what other people are charging. That make sense?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So hearing anybody else, any comments on the pay orders?
no,
Yeah,
I looked through them. I thought they were okay.
Yeah, great. Thank you. I think this is a good opportunity that all of us can actually sit back and digest them a little bit. There's a lot of stuff that comes and goes out the door. So on to the next item here. We have, I guess the next item, and again, similar to last week, I don't want to, I mean, it's the updates and actions on the COVID-19 situation. Don't want to get too bogged down and have all kinds of details of stuff because there's a lot of things that we really don't have any control over. So I'd like to kind of focus this conversation on things that we can make a change, that we have purview over and what people are hearing out in the community. I will comment on the first one just as a quick update, and Paul can chime in then too on the office and other town operations. Currently, the office is staffed by one person, alternating days, Sarah for 2 days and Terry for 2 days, while the other person works from home, and that seems to be working fairly well. Most of the stuff that needs to take place, short of going in and researching land records in the vault and that kind of thing, but most of the things can be taken care of over the phone, email, questions answered, things like that. And that's why we kind of decided that to at least have one person in the office. A lot of the other functionality of the office can be taken care of online through NEMRIC for the pay orders and things like that. So any other comments on that, Paul?
I'd just like to ask Sarah if she has a thought on that, since she has to live it.
Yeah. Yep, unmute.
You gotta unmute. You're muted still.
I can't hear anything. It keeps out like.
Heard maybe 5 words of.
The question was, Sarah, how is the remote working for you as far as getting what you need from technology and getting into the systems and services that you need?
I'm sorry, I still didn't get any.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, well, we can take one and see want it to work.
Greg, I just have, it's Jessica, I just have a quick question on terms of town operations. Just from what you said, is it the case in Jamaica as of now that non-employees are no longer, so for example, a lawyer who wanted to do a title search for a real estate transaction, they could not spend time in the clerk's office doing the work that they would have to do to clear title. Is that correct?
That is correct, and that is
Okay.
true. And that actually has been much more clearly defined. I mean, I'm not an expert on the governor's executive order, but I believe that's been much more clearly defined in the executive order, that is considered non-essential.
Yes, that's correct. And for towns like Jamaica, where our records are only in hard copy, that's the net result. I just wanted to make something that was said just in the description now. I thought maybe it was those types of appointments were still being held.
No, right.
Okay.
They're not. And probably, if anything, we should make that more clear. And that'll be something that we can follow up with
Right.
Sarah.
Yeah, I don't know if Sarah's
That's-
getting requests, and if she is, it might be helpful to her that we make that a little more clear. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you. Paul, any other comments there on office operations?
I just want to make sure both of them are finding it's working out okay.
Right.
We've only had this is the really the second week where we've tried this 2 and 2, and I want to make sure both of them are satisfied with the way it's working.
Right.
And I'm not sure Sarah's tuned in anymore. I don't know if she can hear us.
Sounded like she was having trouble with the audio, and that right now
It looks like-
it's that her camera's not working.
Sarah, did you turn your camera off? Can you hear us better now that you've turned the camera off? It's bandwidth. It's bandwidth on her end. Yeah. Well, I can say too, something Greg, we talked about this just to throw it on the film. I talked to Lou Brusso about the listers computers. Instead of upgrading them to Windows 10, we're just going to wipe them. They don't need anything on them. We're going to wipe them clean. Obviously, we got new computers for Sarah and for Terry, but we're going to wipe them clean, load Windows 10 on them. And then I'm going to do the one I have here at my home, bring that in. We'll give that one to Micah. Then we're going to get Micah's machine. I'll wipe that one out, reload that, and we'll give that to the other listers. So, and I think that's it, just the 2 machines there. So we should be good to go. Hopefully can get it done in the next week.
And everything else I've heard, sorry. I was going to say everything else that I've heard from Sarah and Terry is that using Nemrick in the cloud is working very well. It supplies us with, more, it's going to give us all the updates we need, more security and things like that. So it seems to be a win-win.
Yeah, unfortunately, due to the timing of everything, I haven't had a chance to go in and look at the new machines. And I know Terry got Office 365 loaded on them. We probably should look at some antivirus or something. But I again, now that the office is closed, I didn't get a chance to go over there because I was sick prior to the lockdown. So anyhow.
Okay. The other one specific item that I wanted to bring up regarding the COVID-19 was, for starters, a big thank you to Chris and Karen, and I know a number of other people were involved with trying to coordinate, organizing and coordinating a volunteer program for the town. That is up and going, and it's fluid, like everything. It's evolving. But a big thank you to those guys, those people, to pull that together. The one thing I did want to get out here on camera, and hang on one second, there's really 2 portions of this. One was to seek volunteers, people, Jamaica residents, to assist with non-COVID, non-health related issues, like driving food or checking on their neighbors or bringing people to their normal doctor's appointments and things like that. Reach out to either Chris or Karen. Their contact information is, or Charlie Peck. Their contact information is on our website, and we're working on some ways. Tom and I were just talking on how to make that information jump out a little bit more. Right now the website is very chronological and not necessarily organized by topic. And then the second half of this is calling everybody who may be watching this on cable, that there is assistance out there. If somebody needs some help with anything, to call Neighborhood Connections, and they can connect them, the need for help with the people who can assist. So I don't know, Chris, did you have anything you wanted to add to that? And again, super thank you to you guys for helping with this. I think Chris is still there. Yeah.
He's here.
No, that's it. You covered it pretty well.
Oh, good. Yeah. Well, thank you again. And for sure, forward information, give heads up on either, you know, anything where there might be some lacking, you know, whether we're not getting the word, there's our need for more assistance, that kind of thing. So
Okay, will do.
great.
Hey, Greg, Sarah's back online now. If she wanted to talk about how the working from home is going, she says she can hear us now.
Oh, great. Okay. Yeah, Sarah, one of the questions we were just going over, you know, the operations of the town office and the fact that you're in there 2 days a week and Terry's in there 2 days a week, and just looking for general comments of what's working, what's not working. Are you getting, I mean, you don't have to get into every little detail, but just quick overview, or are you getting demands for things that we're not able to provide, or people wanting to get in, or any of those types of things, I guess?
Hello?
Oops.
Yeah, don't want to put it on the spot. Maybe, I mean, the technology, I mean, it seems like the internet connection is not always so good all over the place. That, you know, funny that we didn't know that, huh? Okay, well, we can bring that up with Sarah and Terry, get that kind of feedback. And then I know there's a lot of other things that are going on. I mean, there's you know, the government doing updates every 3 days a week. Things are changing. I know recreational facilities have, you know, a lot of trail networks are closed. The state park is open. The Army Corps properties are open. There's no facilities, obviously, and people should be adhering to all the distancing rules. Not traveling far from their homes for recreation. You know, if you can go walk in your backyard or down your street, that's better than going to these popular trailheads. That came up. I know there's a lot of concern with rental units still being in operation. Some just anecdotal observation is that those seem to be kind of winding down. If there are people observing that there's still rental units or hotel operations that are still going on, to contact the non-emergency state police office. I do have that number here. I'll try to find it somewhere, but it seems like that's kind of, you know, tailing off a little bit too. But don't know what other people's comments are and you know, or what they're hearing. We want to direct that, you know, people's concerns, the town's concerns. As a board, we're not always able to do everything, but we can usually point people in the right way.
Yeah, I mean, I can say in town here, there are some people who are here from out of town, but I don't know the situations. And it appears like I know one of the Airbnbs up here, the people have been here for a month,
Yeah, and I think
longer
that's
than
acceptable.
that.
You
Yeah,
know,
so maybe they've just kind of they're
Yeah.
just stuck here or whatever, you know.
Sorry.
No, and
Yeah,
then
people are staying in one location. That's good. I mean, it's the back and forth that's really not good. It doesn't matter if it's an Airbnb or in their second home, but if they're staying here full time for the next foreseeable future, then that's great. That's fine. Any other comments?
Andy here. Just one more resource. The Sheriff's Department, I know it was already in place already, but they are encouraging elderly shut-ins and self-quarantine injured or ill community members to subscribe to the Are You OK program. All you got to do is call the Sheriff's Department, and there's no number on this press release, but they'd be willing to come check on you whenever you need it, or give you a call. And then at some point, I would like to ask our fire chief a question about something I heard that other towns are doing concerning people who may be infected with this virus.
Yeah, I think now's a good time, if that makes sense, Bob.
Okay. Just if this could be to Bob, I saw that in some towns, a person at their own discretion or I don't know if we would encourage it, but that they would tell the fire chief of that town that they have tested positive for COVID-19 and that it is to be kept confidential. Do you know anything about that?
I do in a way through the emergency management direction. Most everything, if anybody checks out positive, or anything, it usually going through Rescue Inc.
Okay.
Since we only assist Rescue Inc.
All right.
at the time. So in that case, we try to keep clear as much as we can with our personnel, only to assist. Rescue Inc. is to report any cases of positive testing and the results. If we hear anything back, we can let the town know.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. I guess anything else, Jessica, anything to add on just discussion or any place where we could help that you're hearing?
Sorry, I pressed the wrong button. In terms, not at this point, in terms of volunteering efforts with respect to COVID-19, is that your question?
Well, in general, COVID-19 volunteer efforts would be one thing. I think just we're kind of all ears out there, and we're all observing a lot of things, and different people we know are coming to each one of us individually and expressing concerns, and
Right.
a lot of that is just to be somebody to listen, and then but also point people where they can find help.
Right. The one kind of request concern that has been percolating, and you and I chatted about it briefly, was that there's an increasing number of individuals who are second homeowners in the geographic area of Jamaica, as well as neighboring towns, but within Jamaica specifically. We're seeing that through increase in numbers of PO boxes being rented, caretaking services or prepping houses and taking care of houses. There has even been a couple of requests from locals to go to New York City or area homes to pack up stuff and bring it back to Jamaica, which was sort of interesting to me. So the one thing that you and I had talked about that I had seen in Winhall and some surrounding towns was a reminder, a gentle or friendly reminder to people who are relocating, which we understand why, but that they self-quarantine for 14 days.
Absolutely. Yep.
So that was the one thing that had come up.
Yeah, and that is a super, every little place we can remind people to follow the guidelines for safe distancing, quarantining. The recommendation is 14-day quarantine if you're moving from anywhere. It doesn't need to even be hot zones. If you're making the move and you're intending to stay in Jamaica, we welcome that. We ask that you quarantine yourself and that you're in your family and that you stay. Not that you're going back and forth every weekend.
And then just in addition to that, if there's, I don't know, maybe we could talk to Jackie about whether it's maybe in the update or in her newsletter or wherever it might be helpful or gentle to remind folks. And then the other thing was whether Andy or Tom had heard anything just from their connections to the law enforcement community, and if there was anything worth mentioning. That was the other question I've kind of heard.
I haven't heard anything from the law enforcement. I don't know if Andy's the liaison now. I can also put something on the website if we think that makes sense on the Jamaica website about the quarantining for 14 days. Again, that's a very friendly reminder, but who will go there, who will see it, that's the bigger question.
Yeah.
So, but I can definitely do that. I can do it after the meeting. It'll take me 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think all those information pieces are worthwhile. After a while, there's so many of them though too. And Andy
Right.
and I were talking about that. You got to be able to sort through them all and what's important to each individual, and just us posting it on our website doesn't immediately solve the problem. But just more hands and eyes and ears out there, we can hopefully help.
Right. It's more if someone were to see it, if someone were, now basically relocating or had recently relocated, and we're familiarizing them, looked to the website for something and saw it. If they hadn't been being strict about it, it's like one more little thing that might, to reinforce. That's,
Yep.
There's no panacea for sure, but
Super, thanks.
I could just add that there's a lot of law enforcement out. State and our sheriffs have been around a lot. There's a lot of people not necessarily driving, but they're walking on Route 30 to just, I think I'm getting out of our scope here a little bit, but just an observance I've made when I am out on the road, which isn't very often. There's more people on the road than cars. And just as a select board member, back to what we were just talking about, our second homeowners or our residents they're all, U.S. citizens, nothing we don't know. We welcome you to come to Vermont. I don't want to come across as being on the select board and us saying, these second homeowners whom I'm friends with some of them and I work for a lot of them, and that it's just the same thing. I've been hearing, we hear so much coming down from the governor's office, over and over again, that what Greg just said, self-quarantine and all of that, but it's not really being enforced. And if it is, if it's like like a blatant, like a thumbing their nose at the idea of that, then you can call state police, I guess. But I don't feel obligated to call someone. It's a really touchy situation for me as a board member to talk about, but we're all in this together, and if I had a second home here, I'd get here and stay here if I was coming from New York City. But so I have some empathy for these people, and at the same time, I don't want to get sick. I don't want you guys to get sick. We want to be able to keep running the town and this thing to settle down. So.
Yeah, and I think most people generally are doing it in the best interest of everybody. They're trying to keep their family safe. If they see an opportunity to move their home in Vermont, certainly it's welcome. But to stay here, quarantine. We're all part of the same community. So.
Understand, but also understanding that the facilities here are probably less than what they would be where they live most of the time in New York or New Jersey or Boston areas. So, I think that's important too for the people to be aware of that the hospitals here don't have the capacities that they have down in the city. Mm-hmm. So, if we do have a spike, our resources are going to be depleted quickly. So, something to think about. I will also reiterate what Andy said, because obviously I've been working from home now for about a month, and there is an increased police presence, in particular in the village. I see a police car drive by 3 or 4 times a day. So they are monitoring things and they are around. So. Yeah,
so if someone observes something that they seem to think is a little out of whack, definitely give them a call.
Yes. Yeah, they're here.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. There's no real actionable agenda, although we'll take all these pieces and just try to facilitate the communication of them through our website and in the future through our email coordination that Jackie's helping to pull together, on a separate topic. But all right. Well, thank you. We're now move on to the item 6 on the agenda, and Paul was going to give a quick little update of what's going on now with the emergency management plan, and take it away.
All right, thanks. I sent the current updated the local emergency management plan to everybody on email. As I sent it to Wyndham Regional Commission, they reviewed it and sent it up to the state. The state will review it, send it back to Wyndham Regional, who will send it back to me, and then we'll adopt it with the expectation of adopting it around the end of the month, 27th. We've got until the 1st of May. We have 2 weeks of public comment starting today. We put some posters around town. Public comment comes in either through snail mail or email or any comment they want, any conditions. Stop us on the streets if they can find us. But the idea is to give the public a chance to take a look at the emergency management plan and discuss it with us. And then on the 27th, which will be our next, I think the 27th is our next meeting, we can adopt it, assuming the state likes what we did. That's kind of where that is. But I sent it off to everybody, so you should have it in your email boxes.
Super, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other comments, anybody? Tom?
So Paul, I mean, will there be, because the town office is closed, will there be any notifications to residents that, other than if they didn't watch the meeting tonight, that, hey, we're be looking at this? So should we have some posters we hang at the post office and the Karen's?
We have.
You do, okay.
I personally put one up in the transfer station, and I believe Sarah put them up in the other usual places.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I mean, where at Karen's? Because Karen's closed now. So is it?
Well, that's a
there's
good point. I mean, you could put it outside on the bulletin boards outside, or still.
Yeah.
You're right. There's not a lot of foot traffic there anymore. So
That's a good point. I don't know the answer to that. That's where we've historically done it, but you're right. With a rope across it, that may be difficult.
Mhm.
We do have it located on the town, our office bulletin board outside, and we have it at the post office. which
It's at
is
the
getting a lot
post
of
office.
traffic.
Okay, great.
And we have it at the transfer station right there by the compactor.
Perfect.
and is there something on the website too?
I believe so. I think we
Okay.
mentioned Tara. I said we've lost Sarah, but I think that she put it on the website. Or maybe did I send it to you? Did I? Be aware that the management plan itself, I'm just sending out, this is the draft for people to take a look at it. And the final will be after we approve it on the 27th. So it's still a draft, but it should be fairly easy to get a hold of.
Okay. Sarah's indicated that she has posted it on the website.
Okay, good.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
On to the next, we have an overweight permit that has come in for David Che's excavating. Terry has informed me that they've paid their the fees and whatnot. It is for their full fleet that was shared out there on the shared drive. So I mean, to me, everything looks like it's in order there. I don't know if there's any other comments, or I'll take a motion to approve this permit. Oop, Tom, you're on mute somehow.
I'll make a motion to approve the overweight permit for David Chavez Excavating Inc.
Second,
Yeah, okay. I raised my hand, but it didn't unmute. Yes.
see a few hands. So Paul seconds. Any other comments? All in favor? Any
Aye.
Aye.
opposed? Sounds like five in favors. Thank you. All right, and the next item, there are two liquor license renewals. There is one for the Three Mountain Inn, and there is one for D&K's. I guess, I mean, unless we have any discussion contrary to this, I mean, we could approve them all at once.
Well, so the Three Mountain Inn is actually 2 licenses,
Correct.
and then D&K's is the 3rd. Yeah, because they have
Correct.
they
Yeah,
have
yeah.
they have the bar, and then they have the beer and wine.
Right, so Three Mountain Inn is actually, right, as Tom said, 2 different permits, one for beer and wine and the, which is their, and then one for the, more of the spirits.
Right. I'll make a
D&K
motion.
would be-
I'll make a
Okay, sorry.
I'll make a motion to pass the 2 liquor licenses for Three Mountain Inn.
Second.
Second by Andy. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So unanimous approval for the Three Mountain Inn for their licenses. The next one was for D&K for a second class permit, which would include the sale of beer and wine.
I'll make a motion to pass the liquor license beer and wine for D&K.
Second.
Second that.
Second, Andy got in first. All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Any opposed? So we have unanimous approval on that too. Thank you. Moving right along, there was, the next item was, I think Paul for the Arts Council.
Yes.
So
We
what,
have we had a letter that arrived at the town office. I found out about today. I would have told you earlier. I did not see it. Terry told me about it. Someone named Miller, I believe, wrote a letter to us thanking us for contributions we made to the Vermont Arts Council. He said very few towns actually do that, so he sent us a letter thanking us for doing that.
wonderful.
That's essentially what it was. So we're being thanked. But I don't know. I didn't recognize his name. I believe it was Miller. Perhaps Tom knows him. I don't know.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah. Well, that was nice.
And
So-
this is something we passed as a appropriation?
Some time ago, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think we
okay.
gave a donation to the Arts Council. I think they sent us a letter some time back.
Okay,
Yeah, so this is the Vermont Arts Council, I
not the
believe.
Jamaica, right?
Correct.
Right, as
Yeah.
opposed, yeah, for clarification. I don't recall whether they were on the appropriations either. Certainly, we should send him a thank you for his thank you, in appreciation of his, our, recognition, I guess.
Might be a good idea. Now that Tom brings it up, it might be a good idea to find out if we actually sent them any
But
money.
Sarah says it was an appropriation. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Mhm.
Yeah, wonderful. That's great. Nice to be recognized
And yeah.
and nice to support those types of organizations.
Yes.
Okay, the next one is, we'll go to Jackie for just a quick update on what you're working on.
Okay, thank you. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Mhm.
Well, first I'd like to thank you all for your civic duty as select people. I really appreciate all you do for the town. I'm just trying to help get information out to, first and foremost, residents of Jamaica, but beyond anybody who has an interest in Jamaica as to all that's going on here. As you know, there's lots of ways to stay connected. We've got the Jamaica Facebook page, and a lot of organizations have their own Facebook pages and such. There's Front Porch Forum. There's the website, which is great for people to go to. But I find that a lot of times people don't seek out information. And it's nice for folks in a community to have a newspaper, a resource to get information incoming to them. So, so I've decided to create a newsletter for the town of Jamaica, which I've told Greg about, and Tom, and Bob Stomsky. So I'm really happy to do this. And basically my intention is to get information out to people who have an interest in this community. And I'm going to be doing that on a monthly basis. So the first issue of the Jamaica Journal will come out on May 1st. And it'll be a monthly e-newsletter, and it will basically provide people, residents and people who have an interest in Jamaica, with information as to what's going on. I've reached out to 13 different organizations in Jamaica to gather information in order to help me make this useful and valuable to folks. And I've gotten some response. Thank you to Greg and to Bob for offering to contribute to the newsletter. Basically, it will provide information on what's going on in all the different organizations in town, but then as the subscriptions grow, as people sign up for the newsletter, they can also contribute. Individuals can contribute, businesses can contribute. Basically, it's just, it's basically just a forum for people to share their information as to what's going on here in town. So I'm excited to start it. I appreciate everyone's contributions. Tom Tolbert, my boyfriend, and I just created a link on the town page so people can sign up for the newsletter. And I'm welcoming contributions from folks. Basically, the deal will be get me your information by the 20th of a month for publication on the 1st. And on the 1st of every month, I will shoot out this newsletter to everybody who is in our database. And the database is through MailChimp, which is free. We can send to 2,000 people for free. And we could do that. I plan on just doing this once a month, but you could do it up to 4 times a month if you wanted to. So I just wanted to inform you of my intentions and to ask for your support. I've already gotten the support of Greg and Tom and Bob, and I've reached out to, like I said, to the town of Jamaica, to the Arts Council, to the library, to the school, to the state park, just wherever there's any information that we can share with people in our town. I'm happy to share that in this fashion. And I'm even thinking, with the coronavirus, obviously, so many things are shut down, but there's still a lot of information to communicate. Like, is there going to be a green up day? Is there going to be a whitewater release? With the school, these poor kids, aren't going to have a great graduation, but maybe we can recognize them in some way. Obviously, their parents receive information from the school, but it would be nice for the townspeople to see the graduating class in some way.
Jackie, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
Are you going to also be taking in maybe like artistic submissions, or is it just news?
No, that would be nice. I see it as a work in progress. I was thinking, if there could be a gardening tip for the month of May, with gardening, everybody wanting to garden right now, that would be great. Or maybe there's a video of the month of, with the Arts Council not having concerts. Maybe it's an opportunity just to showcase a local talent just to build community, basically. Right. That's the big goal, is to build community and to share information to get people engaged.
Perfect.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Thank you. I know
exciting. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Comments that we need more information, and not that we need more information, we need to disseminate more. And I say we, not necessarily as the select board of the town or town governments, but more as a community. So this is a true full-on community effort on this one. Thank you, Jackie.
And
let me just add that if somebody wants to contribute, they should send a little blurb, press release, so to speak, to Jamaica Journal Editor @gmail.com. That's the address. And then if they want to sign up to receive the email, go to the town page. It's going to be called the Jamaica Journal, and it's for everyone's use and information.
Tom, do you have something?
I was just going to say, yeah, this is an opt-in thing, so we're hoping that people will go out to the site and sign up. And we're going to also try to be getting the word out, maybe with some posters and such at the post office, and when Karen opens back up, just to try to get excitement around, signing up, because the more people are on it, the more community that we have. So thank you, Jackie, for doing this. It's really great.
Thanks. You're welcome.
Yeah, Andy.
Unmute.
I was just thanking Jackie.
Okay. Excellent.
Thanks. Happy to do it.
Yeah, well, great. That moves us on to public comments. Any other comments? Bob or Chris. And John, welcome to the meeting. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to the Planning Commission.
Yeah, if I may, Greg.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
sure. Go ahead, Bob.
Just so you know, I attend a weekly meeting, which is usually on a Wednesday. It's with the Vermont Public Safety Department. They keep all the fire chiefs and EMS people up to date on what's happening throughout the state, as well as I get tons of emails that come in. I know Paul does as well. We're starting to turn the curve a little bit, but again, in our areas, we could still see it still continue on. And again, it is coming a concern of people using the state park. I hate to go back to this subject again, but I went down last weekend and I had noticed there was several cars down there and people walking around without the face masks, even though the governor has now ordered everybody to be wearing face masks when you're outside. I did bring this issue up at the meeting. Hopefully that the state parks and recreation take note, and maybe they can put somebody down there, a park ranger, just to notify people as they go in that they should use precautions and stuff. It could have a big effect on our town if anybody comes down with this virus. So, it's an issue with the fire department. Also, we've also keep track of availability of personnel on the fire service and the EMS. We report in weekly if we've got anybody that we know that is out sick. I do have one person. We have two EMTs and two EMRs. That's emergency management responders that are on our staff. And now I have one EMT that's out of service. So again, that puts a little bit more of a strain on us. But as long as the state knows about it, there's plenty of mutual aid assistance around the area. We all have these mutual aid agreements and stuff, and this is why they were in place for any services of any type. So with that being said, I just want people to be cautious again out there. Adhere to the governor's requirements and recommendations and stuff. The other thing I want to add in as well, people have been looking at burn permits. And I know Stuart is the forest fire warden for the town of Jamaica. I'm his assistant. And with that being said, there has been some directives to come down to prevent people from burning until further notice, until the coronavirus. But they're leaving it up to the individual towns to manage that. So there might be times that Stuart and I will put permits out. If it's raining out, it's probably the best time than when it's dry periods where it dries out faster. So again, just to make people a heads up that right now the state is asking for a ban on burning, but again, it's going to be up to the locals to whether they decide to issue permits or not. The reason for that is, again, you're going to tie up personnel from all departments, and if you've got people who are sick in your division, then you just have to rely more on mutual aid people. And again, you may get quite a few, you may not. So I just want people to just be heads up out there to use common sense out there and be cautious. That's all I have.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, certainly everybody should call the fire warden as far as getting a permit, and be aware that they may err on the side of being conservative. I mean, certainly the virus is a respiratory illness, and it's typically in the spring. I mean, not today, but typically it's fairly dry in the spring, and all those reasons. So thank you for pointing that out.
You're welcome.
Hi,
Yeah.
it's Andy. I don't know if he still goes down, but there's been a Vermont state game warden stationed quite a bit more the last couple of weeks, but for some problems in the park before the suggestion or the whatever the governor's directive of wearing some sort of mask outside, there was some garbage getting thrown around, and he was down there every other day I noticed him coming in quite a bit. But that was another thing I wanted to mention, that where I have been walking around my house, that there's been more garbage thrown on the side of the road. And if you would like me to, I could bring that to the sheriff's department their attention. But I don't know why that's happening. It's happening all over the place. But So I've noticed a lot more cars than that down there. One time, me and my wife were going to bring the dog somewhere, and we didn't go because there was probably 15 cars down there. So we didn't bother. But they're not, they don't intend to close that park right now, so we can still use it, but you know, at your own risk, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot of great places to go for walks, and even if
Right.
it's just on the back road somewhere, you know, don't necessarily gravitate to these very popular locations. It's not the only place to go.
I've got a question as a resident. Sand sweeping in the village? I know that usually happens in May. I know we're a little ahead of the game this year, but it's pretty bad.
Yeah, that was a point I meant to ask Keith about that today. I know that
Okay.
I think if we get into line sooner than later, my guess is that's probably considered non-essential. I don't know if those guys are out there sweeping, although you can make an argument it's for cleanliness, but we need to be bringing that up. I mean, we are ahead of the game, and let's stay that way, I guess, and get it.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty brutal now, especially with, you know, you want to be opening windows and such, and it creates a lot of dust. Obviously, last couple of days it's been raining and it's been okay, but yeah, it gets pretty bad. And the town looks bad with all the sand on the roads and the sidewalks and stuff. I know they swept off some of the sidewalks. They actually swept in front of my house. But yeah, I'm just bringing it up. If we should get in line at very least. And
That's a
get a date
super
scheduled.
reminder.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, and John, I saw you trying to chime in.
No, I was just about to say thank you for welcoming me to the Planning Commission. And I actually did have one question. I don't know if this is the appropriate time for it, but I did notice that as you come across Depot Street and you head towards Jamaica State Park, there is a pathway to the right, and that now has private property signs. Is that private property through there? I thought that was just a continuation of the West River Trail.
That is private property. The West River Trail really is a right-of-way, an easement. It's not generally owned by the organization of the Friends of the West River Trail. Here on the northern section, we are quite lucky that most of the West River Trail exists on public property already between the State Park and the Army Corps of Engineers. In the southern section, it's a little different with some owned right-of-ways, but that landowner has always been open to usage of the trail, but not really in a public way. And I don't know now what's kind of led to that posting, but it is private land, so obviously they have the right to do that. I don't know much more beyond that, and I'm speaking a little bit more from the hat I wear for the Friends of the West River Trail versus the select board, but it is something I could look into a little bit more, but it is private property.
Well, yeah, just to follow, if you come in from the street side, I think it's Gillfeather Road, there's a sign there that says no motorized vehicles, and it says Vermont Conservancy. So it is a bit confusing because you enter on that side and you think you're, you know, I guess part of the trail or something that's maintained by the Vermont Conservancy, and then you get to the other end and you see the private property sign. So
right.
So you're trespassing when you're walking through there.
Yeah, generally it is all public property. All private property through there from the Jamaica State Park down to French Bridge. There's 3 landowners in there. The one on the furthest end where you're referencing to does have their property in a Vermont Land Trust conservation easement. So that's where that signage comes from. It's not literally part of the Friends of the West River Trail, but they do have their property as in a conservation easement. So again, you're absolutely right. It is somewhat confusing, but hopefully that defines it a little bit.
Well, thank you for that update. I appreciate it. And again, I'm very excited to be part of the Planning Commission and adding my 2 cents or whatever I can do to help make Jamaica a much more beautiful place for its residents and for all the tourists that come in here, and as well as the second homeowners.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any other comments, concerns? Super.
I'll make a motion to adjourn then.
And I welcome that suggestion.
Second that.
Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you all.
Aye.
Thank you very much. A very nicely organized meeting.
Yes.
Before we go,
Thanks,
we should thank Tom for
Tom,
his technical
yes.
expertise.
Thanks,
Yes.
Tom.
Thank you,
very
Tom.
much. Thank
I'm
you,
glad-
everybody,
That was
for
amazing.
I'm glad I
Awesome.
getting
I'm
through
glad
this.
it worked as well as it did. I think it was pretty smooth. I mean, we had a few glitches with the bandwidth, but other than that, it worked fairly well. So yeah,
Yes.
you're welcome. Glad I could do it.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.